We are nearly a week away from the 2024 NFL draft, and I think it's a perfect time to go through and do another mock draft. So that's what I'm going to do here. Go through the full 32 picks of this first round, and I think I've got a doozy for you because I'm going to go trade happy here. I know a lot of mocks, you don't do trades because it's just easier to slot guys in, or you make a trade for a couple quarterbacks and then that's it. And those are kind of boring. I mean, I get it. I do them too. But I'm going to go a little crazy here because I think there's a lot that could happen here with some trades, both quarterbacks and positional players. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get started. I'm going to use NFL Mock Draft Databases Simulator. I love what they do at this website. Tremendous website. Not only do they have the simulator, which you can kind of do trades, you don't have to pay for it. But some of the data collection that they do with all the mocks that get collected, all the big boards that get collected, and just kind of see like a consensus of where things go. I know I use it quite a bit. So if you haven't gone to this site before, make sure that you do so. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Now, this first couple picks are going to be pretty chalk. Caleb Williams is going to go to the Chicago Bears with that first overall pick. That's a foregone conclusion. Washington, I think this is still between Drake May and Jaden Daniels. It wouldn't shock me if it was J.J. McCarthy. I just think Daniels kind of fits with what Cliff Kingsbury wants to do a little bit better. They need someone to kind of come in and be the day one starter. So I think they're going to take Jaden Daniels. New England picking 3. I do think they're going to stay. It wouldn't shock me if they drop down. I think they're going to take Drake May here. Once again, there's a lot of smoke about J.J. McCarthy. Teams liking him a little bit more. So that is a possibility. But like I said, I think they're going to go with Drake May. So pretty standard first 3 picks. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. I think if that happened, nobody would be surprised. This is where it gets a little interesting. Because we're going to have a trade here. We're going to trade with the Minnesota Vikings moving up to get J.J. McCarthy. It's very clear that the Vikings want to move up. Okay, so they're going to give up their first pick of the first round pick, the 11th and the 23rd for number 4. The way this has it, I think if I give up a 5, I do think they're going to throw in a next year 1. But for the sake of this, we're going to make that trade right there. All right, so now the Vikings are on the clock right here with 4. This is going to be J.J. McCarthy. No doubt about it. All right. So 4 quarterbacks going in the first 4 picks. I don't think this has ever happened like that. So it could be a first. I could see maybe Arizona staying and just taking their guy, but I don't think they're going to. I think they want to trade down. So that gives us pick 5 with the Chargers. This is a team that I do think wants to trade down. I don't think they are in love with anybody. I don't see them going wide receiver, even though Harrison and Neighbors and Odunze are the next 3 best players. I love Joe Alt. I don't think he's a good fit for what Jim Harbaugh wants to do. So I think they're going to trade. And there's a lot of speculation who could trade up here. I think the team that's going to trade back up is the Arizona Cardinals. Right? So we have 5 for 11. And then I think if they give them their second round pick this year, so all they, and you're maybe saying, wait a second, you just traded down. You were at 4, you traded down. Now you're going to trade back up. What's the point? Why not just take your guy there? Here's the thing. By doing these trades, if you're Arizona, you move from 4 to 11. You pick up an extra first-round pick. Like I said, probably a first-round pick next year. Then they're able to move up, and you can still trade that 11. And maybe even if you give up that second-round pick, you're basically swapping your second for a first. moving down one spot. So I think that's a win-win, plus potentially getting that first-round pick next year. So I think they could definitely move back up. And in this situation, they're going to take Marvin Harrison Jr. So they get the guy that they want, and they essentially turn a second-round pick into a first-round pick and get a first-round pick next year. New York Giants are now on the clock. I think this one's pretty easy. I think they'd love to be able to go up and get a Drake May. I just don't know if in this situation that's going to happen with New England. So don't keep it. Don't be surprised if the Giants do that. But here I have them sticking and picking with Malik Neighbors to get them that downfield threat. I think he's going to give them kind of what they had with Odell Beckham several years ago. Tennessee, I think, is going to be ecstatic to be sitting here at 7 and taking Joe Alt, their new left tackle. I think he's a perfect fit in Brian Callahan's offense. They desperately need a left tackle. Now you have Joe Alt and Peter Skoronski on your left side. So I think they're sitting pretty right there. Number 8, the Atlanta Falcons. I think they go pass rusher. I think they wouldn't shock me if they go a couple of their positions, but I think they're going to go with Dallas Turner, the guy that they feel is their best pass rusher, and give them somebody there. All right, now we're to the Chicago Bears. This is where we continue to see trades. And so we have Rome Odunze available. I think that'd be a great fit for Chicago. I would love that pick if I was a Bears fan. You got some pass rushers, you got some tackles, and that's where I think the trade happens. And I think the team that's going to trade up with the Bears is a team that desperately needs a left tackle, and that is the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints want a chance to get Ola Fashanu, and so I think if they are able to, and let's just kind of work this as basically the Bears give up the 9th pick for the 14th pick, and then they flip. So the Bears, instead of having a third-round pick at 75, they have the top 50 pick. So we make that trade. Now the Saints are on, and as I said, they go for Fashanu here at offensive tackle. Trevor Penning hasn't worked out. Fashanu could come in at that left tackle spot, lock it down, and then maybe they try to get Trevor Penning somewhere. Maybe that he eventually can replace Ramczyk, who looks like he's got some injury issues. All right, Jets. So now you're sitting with the Jets. They could go with Rome Odunze. They could go Brock Bowers, or they could still go offensive tackle. And I think offensive tackle is a strong possibility. Yes, they went veteran heavy with Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses. That's definitely a possibility still, but I think with Rome Odunze sitting here, they're going all in on this season. And so I think Odunze, with him being there, it just makes too much sense. Give Aaron Rodgers more weapons. So that's the pick right there. Now you have the Chargers picking 11. This is the trade down. This originally was the Vikings pick. I still think the Chargers are going to go offensive tackle. I think it comes down to Talise Fuaga or J.C. Latham. I think those are the two guys that fit. I just think Latham's a better fit for what they want to do. He's the more physical run blocker. So that's why I have that pick happening there. All right. Now we have Denver at 12. And Denver is a possibility to go with a quarterback here. And I think Bo Nix is a possibility. But I don't think they pick here. So we got another trade. And I think we have the Buffalo Bills saying we need our receiver. All right, so I think the Denver Broncos and the Bills are going to trade up. Bills are going to give up this year's first round, next year's first round, and I threw in a 4th-round pick there to make it happen. Going all the way up from 28 to 12 is quite the jump. Maybe it's a couple first-round picks. But like I said, they're going to go up for receiver, and I think they're going to see a guy like Brian Thomas Jr. Being perfect for what they want, a guy that has elite speed down the field, can go up and make contested catches, gives Josh Allen a new number 1 receiver, so that's why I have him taking Brian Thomas Jr. there. Now we have the Oakland Raiders. They could go a couple different ways, but I think it's either going to be cornerback or it's going to be offensive tackle. Who knows? Maybe they could take Michael Penix here. But like I said, I think it's going to be an offensive tackle. They could use a right tackle, and Talise Fuaga would be a perfect fit for their offense. Now you have Chicago sitting here. And wide receiver was an option. Wide receiver was an option because, but they passed on Rome Odunze. Brian Thomas Jr. is gone. I think defensive tackle is a position to watch here. And you've got two guys, Jared Verse and Laiatu Latu. You look at the Bears, they can probably get a good, solid wide receiver now with that second-round pick that they traded for on day 2. And wide receiver is not a huge need because they've got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore right now. But they need someone opposite of Montez Sweat. And I think Jared Verse is perfectly fit. I like Latu better, but I think Jared Verse is perfect for Eberflus's defense, so that's why I have them going here. All right, so now that the Bears have picked, we have the Colts. And the Colts, for me, forever, I was having them take a cornerback. And Quinion Mitchell and Terrion Arnold are available here. Quinion Mitchell, I think, would be a perfect fit for what they're doing. However, we have Brock Bowers right here. And Shane Steichen is an offensive wizard. We saw what he did with the Eagles, especially with Dallas Goedert. And I think Brock Bowers, tight end is a need for them. They don't have anyone that could really be a difference maker. So I think Brock Bowers right here would make a ton of sense. All right. Seahawks. Now, one thing we know about the Seahawks and John Schneider is he loves to trade down. They don't have a second-round pick this year. And there's some possibilities that he could take. I think Byron Murphy is a great possibility. I think Troy Fautanu would be a fit as well. But I think they trade down. And I think what they could do is look to recoup some of those later picks. And we have a team like the Arizona Cardinals who are like, you know what? We want to move up. We want to get the top cornerback in this draft. And so they're able to trade their third-round pick, this pick 66, to move up, a few spots. They make this trade. The Seahawks get a move back, still probably get a player that they really like, plus they pick up that additional picks on day 2. So Arizona here, I think they could take Quinion Mitchell. I think he fits with what they want to do there. Now they've gotten the best receiver in this draft and the best cornerback in this draft. Now that Mitchell's gone, the Jaguars, I think they take the next best receiver, and this is actually I like Terrion Arnold as my number one receiver in this, or number one cornerback. I think he's a top 5 player in this draft. And I think they fill that hole that they could really use opposite of Tyson Campbell there. All right, pick 18, the Bengals. We know a couple things about the Bengals. They like to stick and pick. They don't want to. They're not going to move up. They're not going to trade down. They like big school guys. And as we've seen lately, they tend to take players and save them, almost kind of develop them for that next year. Last year they took Myles Murphy. Didn't need him right away. You think Dax Hill. They didn't have a starting spot for him, but he eventually became a starter. And I think that fits here, and they look to say, hey, we need a new right tackle. We got Trent Brown, but we need somebody. And I think Amarius Mims would be a good fit for them because Mims is ultra talented, but he's got some question marks. He needs some development work, so I think he'd be perfect for what they want to do there. Now we get to the Chargers. Here's another team that could move down. I don't really have someone maybe trading up to get there. So I think they are kind of stuck picking here. And I have it down to two guys, Laiatu Latu or Byron Murphy. I know a lot of people want to say Byron Murphy because of Aaron Donald retiring, but I think Latu is a better fit. I think he's a better player prospect. I like them both. They're both top 10 prospects for me, but I think Latu, they need that edge guy. They've got guys that they can shift over into that defensive tackle position, so I think they go there. All right, Steelers. Okay, it's going to be an offensive lineman here. I think Mims would have been a good guy. If we look at our tackles that we have right now, I think these are the three that we want, and I think Troy Fautanu is the guy that's going to be where I go here. I think his versatility is going to be intriguing. I know they've got Broderick Jones, who they started at right tackle last year, who played well, that they could move over to left tackle. I think Fautnu's a guy that kind of just gives them some versatility, and they can go kind of wherever they want. All right, now with the Dolphins, another team, I think Fautnu could have been a possibility there. They could go offensive, guard, like I said, but I have them going defensive tackle. I think this is where Byron Murphy goes. They lost Christian Wilkins. They've brought in a lot of guys, but they don't have that true kind of difference maker at defensive tackle. And I think Byron Murphy's the best defensive tackle in this draft class by a mile. And so I think they're happy to get him right there. Now with the Eagles, cornerback is kind of a pick that a lot of people are projecting just because it's a need. But I think one thing that we got to think about when we do mock drafts is it's not like, oh, hey, Cooper DeJean and Nate Wiggins and Kool-Aid McKinstry are the three next best players there. They need a cornerback. I'm going to put them there. Sometimes that works. But we also got to think, what do these teams like to do? And we know that the Eagles love the offensive and defensive lines. We know that the Eagles love drafting offensive and defensive linemen and then developing them so they become a starter. And right now at right tackle, they've got Lane Johnson, but he's old for an NFL player. And so I think they could kind of go in that route. And I look at Tyler Guyton as a player that really fits with what they want to do with those athletic, big offensive linemen. And I think that they draft Tyler Guyton. They put him at Jeff Stoutland University. And in a year or two, he's their new starting right tackle. We saw it at guard. They do it all the time. Cam Jurgens was brought in to be the heir apparent to Jason Kelce. Sat for a year, played right guard. Now he's going to go over to center. We kind of see those things, and I think Guyton's going to be the next one there. All right, now we're picking the Seahawks are picking. I think they stick offensive line too, and they go to the interior. And I think a lot of people have Jackson Powers Johnson as the top center, but I think they go Graham Barton. I think he fits with what they want to do. He's athletic. He fit that zone scheme. He's got experience at center playing there his freshman year at Duke, so I think that is the pick. But I don't think Jackson Powers Johnson lasts long because I think the Cowboys see him as their next Travis Frederick, and they need a center. And they pull the trigger right there. All right. And that leads us to the Packers. And some people are picking the Packers to take an offensive lineman. But I don't think they're going to go that way. I don't even think they're going to make this pick. I've got another trade. And I see the Packers being a willingness to move down. And I see the San Francisco 49ers as a team that says, hey, you know what? We need some offensive line help, especially at tackle. And there's one guy left that kind of really fits us. And so I think they give up their third-round pick to move up. And Jordan Morgan is a San Francisco 49er. I think he fits that Kyle Shanahan offense well, that zone blocking scheme. He's a left tackle. I think he could go over to right. And gives them, right tackle was a big liability for them. And so I think he kind of solves that issue. All right. Next couple picks. I think this is where you're going to see a little bit of a run at the end here on some pass rushers. Tampa Bay could use a center or a pass rusher, but we just saw Jackson Powers-Johnson and Graham Barton go. I know Zach Frazier's there. I don't quite love him in this area. I think they go pass rusher, and I have him taking Darius Robinson from Missouri. I think he fits that Todd Bowles defense well. Here's a guy that's played both inside and outside. I think that versatility, Todd Bowles loves those 4-down linemen. I think he can move them around. And like I said, I think he fits perfectly with what they want to do. Arizona, I also think is going to go out offensive lineman, and I have him taking Chop Robinson, the outside linebacker from Penn State. I mean, look at this draft haul. Basically trading down from 4 to 11, then back up to 5. They've been pretty active. I have him here. Marvin Harrison, the best receiver in this draft. Quinion Mitchell, the best cornerback in this draft. And then I have him taking Chop Robinson, who I think is one of the better pass rushers. I like Latu, I like Verse, and then Chop Robinson's my third-rated guy. And I think he would be great in Jonathan Gannon's defense. I mean, I think a lot of what we saw with Hassan Reddick in Philadelphia when Gannon was there, I think Chop Robinson can do those things. And so I'm a huge fan of what I have the Cardinals doing here. If I was a Cardinals fan, I'd be ecstatic with those 3 picks. All right, last 5 picks of this first round. We have the Denver Broncos. I had them trading back. They don't have a lot of draft capital. Yeah, they could stick and pick there and take the best corner, take the best pass rusher. But I think they need a quarterback, and they could use some additional picks. And this is where they take Bo Nix to be their quarterback of the future. They have Jarrett Stidham, but that's about it. All right, the Detroit Lions, another team that could go pass rusher. I think if Darius Robinson is available from Missouri, he'd be a great fit within that defense. But I think they go cornerback. And I have him taking Kool-Aid McKinstry. I think his ability to play press, his speed, he wasn't fully healthy at the combine. Wasn't fully healthy at his pro day, and he still ran a blistering time. I think he fits well with that Dan Campbell defense, that Aaron Glenn defense, and it would be a good fit for them there. Baltimore, whenever I look at Baltimore, I got to think, which good player is just going to drop into their lap? Because that's the Ravens every year. And I think offensive tackle, if Jordan Morgan was available, that'd be great. I think they could really use an offensive tackle, but I don't really love anybody here. Roger Rosengarten is a guy that Mel Kiper's had mocked in the first round. Not a big fan of that. Blake Fisher's a name, but that's probably, like you said, we look here, probably a second or third round pick. Even a guy like Kingsley Suamatia is probably not worthy of this 30th pick. And so I think they're going to go best player available, and I think Cooper DeJean is a great fit. His versatility, being able to play outside, be able to play inside, maybe as a safety. I think he just gives them an elite guy in that back end that can do a lot of things. Plus, the Ravens love Iowa players. All right, last couple picks. Packers picking here at pick 31. If we look at what Gutekunst has done the last several years, it's defense. They've needed a receiver. They don't take him in the first round. They need offensive line. They don't take him in the first round. They take defenders, and I think they do that again here. So cornerback could be an option. Maybe a Nate Wiggins is a possibility. Other cornerbacks that are available. I really like Rick Estrada from Missouri, but I don't think he's worthy of that pick. I don't think he's going to go to that pick, I should say. And so I have them going actually linebacker. That is one of the rumors out there that they need to find that running mate with Quay Walker. And I think a guy like Edgerrin Cooper is lightning and explosive, a lot like Quay Walker was. And it just seems to fit really well with what they want to do. And then finally, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. Another team that I considered moving up to get a wide receiver, and that could very well happen. They traded up to get Trent McDuffie a few years ago. They could go cornerback again. Nate Wiggins is available. Maybe they take Johnny Newton there. Lots of possibilities. I know Xavier Worthy is a common mocked pick. But we're sitting here looking at A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell's still available. And he's a guy that I thought maybe the Bills would try to trade up to get, but I had him moving all the way up to get Brian Thomas Jr. And A.D. Mitchell's sitting here at the 32nd pick. A guy that ran a 4.3 40. He's big. He's athletic. Yes, the Chiefs got Hollywood Brown. Yes, they have Rashee Rice, but they still need that deep threat. I think they tried, they lost it with Tyreek Hill. They thought Marquez Valdez-Scantling could be that possibility for him, and that they realize he can't catch the ball. So I think they go this route, and they get A.D. Mitchell, and now they have one of the another premier deep threat. So as we take a look at this, lots of trades, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades that I had going on. We get to see quarterbacks, 4 quarterbacks going the first 4 picks. Yeah, we see a couple runner receivers, but I think we're going to see teams move up. I think the Saints are going to want to move up to get their offensive tackle. I think the Chargers want to move down to get their offensive tackle. I think Bills are going to be aggressive getting a receiver, whether it's Brian Thomas Jr. or A.D. Mitchell. Don't be surprised if teams move up for cornerbacks, especially if Quinion Mitchell, Terry and Arnold slip a little bit into the late teens. Teams could trade up to go get them and get one of the premier cornerbacks in this draft. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you like this. It's probably not going to be close to completely accurate. And this far out from the draft, still being over a week away, we don't know what's going to happen. So hopefully you enjoyed this. If you like this and you want more of stuff like this, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm going to try to put out my final mock draft as well. Plus, I've got a lot of player film rooms yet to come out. I'm going to do one on Chop Robinson, Talise Fuaga, Mike Sanderstill, the nickel cornerback for Michigan, Darius Robinson, the Missouri defensive end. But I've got those all coming out, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to get those. While you're doing it, follow me on social media, draft_Brian. Wherever you do social media, I am there. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Till next time.